welcome to Game 10 in the Are You Gaming Round Robin Placement Torment series. We begin this game with the standings at UE and IC tied for first place with 3 points each, followed by a three-way tie for third between mrxak, Noda, and Rantic. Today's game features mrxak in the yellow wizard in the top right corner, and myself, UEAdmiral, in the green Terran bottom left. Where is the play button? There it is. Oh hey, I forgot Zulu in the last game. So this here is Daybreak, a rather old ladder map, which I remember from the good old days of, I believe, Heart of the Swarm. Some great games happened on this map. This will not be one of them. Very fast early scout from me, checking for any kind of early Zergling harassment, because I don't want to get caught by that shit. I do not handle early defense very well, so if there's an early attack coming, I need to know right away. mrxak not yet betraying his build, strangely sending an Overlord off to the top right. I'm not sure what the thinking there is. Looks like he'll be picking up an early hatch. And the UE Scout is spotting no tech structures as of yet, as well as no geysers. I'm not sure why I decided to go for a 2 racks in this situation, because there is no tech structure from Zach. I should be expanding right now. Zach's Overlord continues to very slowly traverse the map. And so far, mrxak has just no scouting information whatsoever. And here I will spot the spawning pool behind the mineral line, as well as the working geyser. How will I respond to this? I'm going to finish my wall, get up another geyser. I really don't understand why I didn't expand. I had every opportunity to do so. Spotted the expansion and the complete lack of early aggression from mrxak. That should have been my cue to advance myself economically rather than trying to get units as soon as I possibly could. I suppose I must be going for some kind of rush play, because any other choice is suicide. Because the Zerg will absolutely out-expand and out-income? There's a word for this. But completely roll over the one base Terran income in very short order, just as soon as they pick up a third base, which they can do very quickly, without some kind of aggression coming from the Terran. mrxak's Overlord seems to have stopped at the front here. Looks like he maybe scouted the wall with a worker or some Zerglings. No units lost yet. Now coming down with a starport and a tech lab. Looks like I'm going for a Banshee rush with just a few Marines to hold the front against some kind of land unit incursion. My scout's still alive up here, checking for tech.
Our SCVs
I've seen the second geyser go down. So I must be feeling pretty confident, because there's no anti-air from Zach coming yet. And apparently my attention span is split, because I'm not getting Banshees going as soon as I possibly could. That's going to hurt me. And I'm expanding on that. I don't think that was the greatest idea. I mean, granted, I have the minerals and I gotta spend on something. But my defenses here are kind of anemic, although apparently very appropriate given the active forces grab. mrxak now picking up a third base and getting some additional geysers. Finally now getting a roach warren and no other tech structures. I suppose that must be why I expanded, because there was just no tech advancement from him suggesting an economic play. Now scouting with a Hellion. Let's see what I spot with that bugger. I'm going to swing right by these Lings and Queen. Check for hidden tech structures in the back of the natural. And looks like I'll even slip up into the main. What will I spot? I think I saw pretty much everything there. With the exception of the third base, which continues to elude my knowledge. Seeing roaches, I decided to drop down the bunker, the natural, to help bolster the defenses there. I now have my 2 Banshees, which I like to move out on. Cloak is well on the way. So these Banshees look like they will be moving in to hit the main, as we can confirm by the little attack icon thing there. Zulu. Got some aggression from Zach coming in just as the Marines get into the bunker. Although it does not look like he really is paying attention to this, because his army is in a whole bunch of pieces.
Engine screaming.
Third Banshee popping out. And more roach loom for Mr. Zach. It looks like he's on the attack command for the bunker and the bunker alone, which is not helping him because he's not doing any damage, particularly with these SCVs from Parent. And more roaches just standing by. Mr. Zach's attention must be completely somewhere else while these Banshees are... Yeah, this is probably where his attention is. Given the Banshees now have 7 kills apiece. Hydralisk Den going up in the natural with Mr. Zach. And some desperation spore crawlers here, which will just get shot down immediately. He does have detection here, so his queens can fight. Looks like I will save my Banshees ever so barely. And leaving him with 27 total drones. I leave his natural alone and resume attack on the main. I have not yet scouted that third. So that's actually enabling Mr. Zach to continue his income. Looks like Mr. Zach is once again trying to move the aggression to my side of the map. Why on earth is my bunker unloaded? I must have missed something. But I've now got a tank to support my expansion. So Zach rallying in some more troops. Meeting some tank fire. And once again, apparently largely focusing on the bunker, killing only 1 Marine in that attack. Looks like Banshees have been repelled from Zach's main. But economically speaking, Mr. Zach has fallen behind. Now getting some spore crawlers to prevent any further Banshee harassment. Still no spores in the third, though. That could hurt him. Banshee's moving out again for more harassment. But a big move out from Zach. Take a look at the active forces. Mr. Zach's got an army twice my size. And he's going to pool it up right here. Banshee's catching some key parts of this army on the move command, and with no protection. So that's some nice hits there. Banshee's apparently going home to support the defense, which is going to completely slaughter this attack from Mr. Zach. Apparently, UE defense is just too strong and incredibly efficient, with approximately a 6-to-1 ratio of resources spent to, or resources lost to resources destroyed. We have a scout running around checking for hidden expansions, it looks like. And more of Mr. Zak's units flying in here like lemmings. Still no defense at the third, although... Actually, Mr. Zak's economy has not really started to recover yet, with just maybe an additional 6 drones between the 2 bases that were previously hit. Another snowball wave of units coming out, and a sneaky hidden third for me. More tanks to reinforce the defense at the front line. Mr. Zak checking for a third on the right-hand side. This time his unit's at least in the attack command so that Banshees don't catch him completely unawares. Mr. Zak's still behind on drones, yet ahead in income. Figure that one out. Another attack from Mr. Zak, just lemmings into this apparently impenetrable defense. Just covered with tanks on all sides, bunkers, even Banshees. What he really needed to do is load up some overlords over here and just drop into the main. There's 1 turret here for defense. It's not much. But expecting such a thing, apparently I station a tank to deal with any kind of harassment-style drop, although that would absolutely not stop any kind of doom drop, or even mutilisks. Zak picking up a 4th in the bottom right. Still no defense at the third. But his economy is now back into a reasonable swing. What did I do this for? Why did I do this? Apparently I've got scouts moving to different locations. I'm a little puzzled by my choice to send 4 at once in a clump like that. Looks like I'm attempting to move out and break the containment Mr. Zak has so I can safely take yet another base, but I move out with insufficient forces and leave all of my mech behind, so I just don't have the movable force that I really need. So Mr. Zak's contain will persist, although I will take some initiative with that and go for a drop in his main. Meanwhile, my hidden expansion goes unnoticed, although severely underdeveloped. Apparently going for a 2-prong attack, Banshees and drop in the main. Ooh. This drop could have gone much worse. And unfortunately, without micro, this drop is not going to do much damage. But these Banshees are going to absolutely wreck down here. Take a look at the SCD. Stabbing and drilling at the spine crawler. Mr. Zak's army arriving well ahead of his detectors, enabling me to just get free kills. And when the detection shows up, just move on to the next target. Drop in the main continues to go unopposed, although this medevac will go down, or not. Banshee harassment continues to take place at third, and will escape by the skin of its teeth. Meanwhile, the drop continues to exist up here, very nearly taking out Hive. Excuse me, Lara. But these Zerglings will defend this, and there's bound to be, there you go, 1 Hydros to finish off the medevac. Banshee's circling around for another swing at the 4th. Income still severely in Mr. Zak's favor, as I run out of minerals at my home. My third is probably the only thing keeping me even remotely alive at this point. And Mr. Zak has more than enough power to go over there and roll over it, and I just have nothing to stop him because I'm fully invested in this frontline defense. Looks like Banshees have come home for repairs, but no repairing SCVs are still alive. Mr. Zak, I would say pulling a bit of a dash here with something in the panic attack, and there's just way too many tanks. These roaches are getting destroyed as quickly as they walk in. This is probably my opportunity to pull these infantry back, unify my mech and air forces and land and infantry forces, and go out and do some globe-trotting, knock out some of Zak's expansions. But I stay put. I really need to be more aggressive here, because I know very well I have next to no income. I'm way oversaturated on my natural, and my third base is completely exposed. Looks like I will now engage in some aggression with a large drop to the right. Mr. Zak now deciding to scout up here and discovers my hidden third. There's really nothing I can do to defend this, so I just sacrifice that and continue my aggression in the right. Leaving behind bunkers, some infantry, and still a large number of tanks to protect my infrastructure at home. Mr. Zak's fourth here will go down mighty quickly, and he's so far out of position he doesn't even really have a chance to get there to even slow me down. Some stim stutter stepping and knock down what little reinforcement Zak is sending in. Unsieging the tank for another renewed aggression up in the upper right. Drop moves out to the third base as Mr. Zak pools his units once again at my front, hopefully going for, or rather hoping for an effective base race, but apparently forgetting that I've still got tons of tanks here in defense. Mr. Zak now moving once again very far across the map to try to stop my aggression at his third base, which will also fall well before he arrives. And I need only pick up, leave, drop the next base. Looks like this time he will continue to pursue my base, pursue my forces into his natural. Got a rather nice defensive position here, but he's getting a good concave. And then time to go, and there I go. Utilizing the terrain to my advantage, knowing it's going to take him a little longer to traverse things than it's going to take me. Dropping up here, knocking out his available tech structures, for once again, very likely retreating. And Mr. Zak apparently stalling on his micro, not realizing that I had moved on. Apparently I moved on prematurely, because I probably could have knocked out these two tech structures before he even got here. I fly right over this, I suppose what is now his fifth base, and the only one with any kind of mineral line, but no workers, nothing to kill. Going home for repairs and to link up with more forces. This is a bit of an interesting place for Mr. Zak to pool his forces. He should really be rallied closer to here so that he has a shorter reinforcement distance to his newest base and his natural. Banshee swinging in on the natural side. Narrowly escaping. Ooh, not so narrowly. Banshee swinging by, making sure, I don't know what, but doing some more tech structure damage. No detection will enable them to do some damage here. Wow, 20 kill Banshee just before it died. Otherwise, pretty much completely broke, the both of us. I now move out to claim a rather vulnerable forward position, but that's where I want to be, because I'm moving out my army. I want my army to be as close to my economy as it can be, which means a forward economy in this case. Take a full frontal engagement against Mr. Zak's remaining forces, and that will deplete pretty much all of Mr. Zak's resources, both military and economic. GG should be coming up any time now. Here's the GG. Very close game. Whew. That brings UE into first place with 4 points, IC in second with 3, and a continued three-way tie between Noda and Mr. Zak for third place. Whew. I shouldn't minimize. So join us for the next game, which will be Game 10 of the RU Gaming Round Robin Placement Torment series. May the games continue to be this close, at least keeps them interesting.